Hello everybody and welcome to Dog Shadow Gaming, the channel where we live to game and game to live. As always, I'm Belth, and today we're looking at episode 5 in our, well, Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2. Well, look at our early beta. We're in early beta. This is December 12th. 2018, and we're in early beta in the first section of early betas, and I thought I'd just do a series on doing the multiplayer and the factions that are live at the moment for us to have a look at. In our first couple episodes we did the Tau, we did both as a Tau episode, and then we did both the Imperial Navy and the Adeptus Astartes. In this one I'd like to do the Adeptus Mechanicus and Chaos as a pairing. So we'll just go a little bit through that. In episode 2 of this series, we actually went through all of them briefly and talked about each one, what I felt were the strengths and weaknesses and how they sort of were focused in the game, and a lot of that is based on the lore. This is a little bit more in depth where we actually have a game of them. That was just really talking through each one. This one we're going to have a game with each faction. I'm going to talk a little bit about strengths and weaknesses as of early beta at the moment. Now these will be changing in the future. Hopefully these videos still wear well, but at current point in early beta, it's where they're at, basically. So let's start with the Adeptus Mechanicus and have a little look at them. So I'll read the blurb here for you guys. The Adeptus Mechanicus are the guardians of the Imperium's fading technology and custodians of secrets deemed too dangerous or corrupting for the eyes of lesser men. They are stewards of terrifying mechanical might. The Adeptus Mechanicus fields ships that are every iota as efficient as those of the Imperial Navy, further augmented by the most advanced technology in the Imperium's disposal. Their fleets are often led by an Arch Mechanicus and specialized battleship. Unique to the Adeptus of Mars. The Adeptus Mechanicus prefer to engage the foe at a distance and make extensive use of nova cannons and macro batteries. Now I quite like the Mechanicus. They're, I think they're fairly well balanced. They've got some really cool gameplay mechanics that you can have a sort of a play with. And I'll try and show them for you in our battle against the computer next. I won't do ranked battles because they're both a little bugged at the moment, and also it doesn't give me a chance to really take the time to sort of work with it and show you all the parts of the Mechanicus, I suppose, of the faction. So we'll go Mechanicus of Mars since, you know, why not? Why not? So we're Mechanicus, we're going Mechanicus of Mars. In this one you have Agrippina, Graia, Lucius, I should say, Mars, Metallica, Ryza, and Styges. So those are your factions. These ones don't change at this current time. I imagine there will be more flavor to the sub-factions, as I've said in previous and earlier segments of this particular channel, of this particular, I should say, game. Not yet, but I imagine they will add some. There's a lot of sub-factions, so not everyone's going to get extra special things for them. Probably just the main ones, I'd say. So we'll go Mars, why not? Just, that's cool. Now, for selected skills, you've got Supercharged Void, that's fairly straight up. They have what they call Rad Tempest, and if you watched episode 2 where I went through them, I talked about Rad Tempest. Rad Tempest is like it's an AoE dot damage. It creates like a warp field that does damage to any ships inside it. It can be really effective if you use it in conjunction with something like Stasis Bomb, where they're stuck in it and they're just taking damage. It launches a lightning orb that hits all ships in its trajectory and inflicts 200 damage, ignoring shields and armor. Is actually pretty good too, but it moves extremely slow. So it's pretty easy to get around it most of the time. I like to use Rad Tempest when I'm doing these guys, and Stasis Bomb. And what I try to do is hit them with the Stasis Bomb, then hit the Rad Tempest on top of it, so you get the maximum amount of the damage. So that's one tactic. Also, with the Stasis Bomb, if you can get a couple of ships caught in it, you can then use your Nova Cannons, which is really the piece de resistance for this particular faction. Now, on the secondary ones, I like to use a Nova ship. It applies to flagships, so you're not getting it across all of your Nova cannons, but it can be quite useful. You've also got the Auger Probe for escort ships. Not that useful, I don't think. Lightning Strike, you don't want to necessarily be close enough to be using Lightning Strikes with Mechanicus. They have a little bit of tankiness to them, but they're no way near the Imperial Navy in that sort of respect. Applies to flagship, this is for macro cannons. Applies to line ships, this is depletes shields. Again, Calixus Assassin, I always forget how to pronounce that one. I haven't actually used this yet. Applies to the flagship. This could be really useful because the flagships from Mars are quite big and slow, and a 500 damage to morale is insane. Lightning Strike inflicts. So, but the shields have to be down for it to work, and it only applies to your flag. So, effective, yes. How effective? Not sure, to be fair. But in this case, we'll probably take it and see if we can get it to work. Applies to fleet escort ships. So we'll take the Nova Cannon, and we'll take the Calixus Assassin. We probably won't get close enough to use it, but we'll see how we go. We'll go in here and we'll have a quick look at fleets. Hang on, back one. Skirmish mode. We'll go in and make our own fleet here. So you've got the Arc Mechanicus here. Now the Arc Mechanicus is a pretty cool ship. I quite like it. You've got a spur, so it can ram. Low maneuverability, it's very, very slow. Brutal Strike, the ship has a 10% chance to deal additional troop damage amount depending on the tonnage, but this thing is big, so it does a lot of damage there. Poor troop efficiency, so that's not really good. Boarding actions, light cruiser, so Titan has 4. It's not great for boarding. So again, independent, so the bravery takes 25%, and then it has thrusters. Let's have a look at the firepower. So we got a heavy lance turret on the front, that's cool. We've got heavy lance battery weapons, also pretty cool. Plasma macro battery weapons, also pretty cool. And then you've got your Nova cannon. I really like this ship, so we're going to take that. That's going to be our flagship. Now we really want to utilize the tactic of the Nova cannons. These things are insane, and you really, really want to use them. You also kind of want to be, because to use the Nova cannons right at the start, you've got to sort of be front on. So you do kind of want Nova cannons and heavy lances if you can get them. So let's have a look and see what we can do here. So let's start down the bottom here. This is your most expensive of your cruisers. We've got a lance turret, so that'll be the front. We've got macro weapons, those are side mounted. We've got launch base, not bad. And we've got the Nova cannon. So we've got the lances at the front. We've got launch base, so that doesn't matter where you are. So that's all attacking. And then we've got some macro batteries on the side for later. Right, we've got a lance turret, plasma macro battery weapons, yep. And then macro battery weapons, so a lot of side damage. This is a lot of broadside damage that you can put out there. Then you got your Nova cannon as standard. So, I mean, for me, having the launchers attacking constantly from max range is probably more effective, but let's keep moving on. Lance for the front, again, good macro lance batteries for the sides, and then a Nova cannon. Okay, not too bad. Lance battery weapon, that's in the side mounted, lance turret, Nova cannon. So you got the lance turret and that one there. So that's 183. So, I mean, realistically, it's about 20 less than this, but this one has everything that does, plus it also launches fighters. So let's get one of those. Let's have a look at the next ones down. So no Nova cannon here. You got torpedoes, macro turret, macro battery, torpedo launcher. Macro turret, lance batteries on the side, torpedoes, launch bays, light lance turret. Cool. And then we've got all the little stuff here. So we've got little lance artillery, double barrel here. That's just a double barrel light macro. Light macro turret, torpedoes, double barrel, light lance, double barrel, and then torpedoes. So a lot of front actions, some torpedoes and lancers. So what I want to play here is I'm going to go the Dictator, and we're going to get a couple of those. All right, we're at 143. So our aim here is really simple. We're going to be just absolutely launching waves and waves of bombers. We're going to be just pounding them with bombers from distance, and we're going to want to try and stay at distance. We've got our macro battery weapons for side attacks, and we've got our lancers. So the lancers are going to come in, the Novas are going to come in. We're going to try and smash them frontal on, really drop their shields as quick as we can using both lancers and Nova cannons, launching ships as much as we can, harassment, bombing runs, and then the whole time, and then as soon as they get sort of close-ish, we're going to turn and try and circle them with the macros. That's going to be the aim, so we'll see how it plays out for us. Bold strategy, Cutton. What else have we got? We got 143, so we've got about, what, 77 left. No, 67 left. So, I mean, we can do something like that, which will give us more torpedoes in the front and some light macros. Yeah, so we'll use the torpedoes. Get 2 of those going. Oh, hang on, we're just over. I was a little bit shy on my torpedoes. Yeah, can we get 2 of those? 203. Don't have the cost. There we go, 97. All right, so we got torpedoes here in the Cobras. That's cool. And there's, yeah, excellent. All right. So as always, guys, we'll call this Belth's Fleet. Belth's Fleet. And we'll rock in from here. So again, the tactic or the build that we're going for is strong Nova cannons from range, lance batteries from range, bombers from range, and then circle once we've blown through as much of that as we can, and just circling at range. The effective range of most of our ships here, so these guys here, short range, 80% chance efficiency is 80%. So that's 4,500 units, right? 9,000 units is a 60% chance. Long range is 40% chance at 13,000 units. Very long range at 18 is 20% chance, and the extreme is 22,000 because 0% chance. So ultimately, you're gonna want to be getting, if possible, about, you're gonna want to stay within that 9,000 range. So in order to get the most effectiveness out of those guns, 4,500 is pretty close, yeah? Very, very close. The angle of fire on them is 90 degrees, as you can see there, and critical chance is 4.5. The reload time is 12 seconds. The range is about 9,000 units, so that's where we want to stay, under 9,000 if we can. Cool. All right, let's save that up there. And that's when, hang on one second. The Nova cannons, let's have a look at them. The Nova cannons, shoot a plasma warhead, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, all the damage affects ship's armor is considered 25. Morale loss is huge. The weapon inflicts damage within a determined parameter. Weapon accuracy is 100% whatever the range, right? So, but they do have a range on them. The lance turrets, 100% accurate. The range on these is 18,000 units. So they're 100% accurate at 18,000 units. Right, so that's what makes the lance turrets good. They don't do as much damage, but really, really good. So you can start to see how the strategy I'm polling for you guys would work. Now, bear in mind that the only ship we have that is possible of ramming, realistically, is the Arc Mechanicus with that spur, which will add, increases ramming damage inflicted by this ship is increased by 300% for escort ships and by 50% for line ships. So it'll destroy, if this thing goes to an escort ship, it won't even feel it. It'll just plow right through it. Line ships, you'll get a 50% increase on it. Brace for impact will make sure that you take less, but this is the only ship in the fleet that's really capable of doing that. The rest, they don't want to be anywhere near that. And they don't want to be close to stuff because, as you can see here, very poor trip efficiency, which means they can get boarded really easily and taken out. Okay. Move on. So we'll take that there. We're doing 1v1 and we'll launch. Gonna do the medium as always. And oh, I should have done a random. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Normally I just do random and we play whoever we play. I must say I really like not only the cutscenes, I've said that in my last couple of videos, but I love the detail of the Arch Mechanicus ships. They look really cool. They've done a really, really good job of it. I'm currently playing on my YouTube channel, well, on the channel as well. We've got Mechanicus 40k, which is the turn-based strategy game going at the moment. I think it's about 3 episodes. I've got to do some more of those. And these things just look so cool, don't they? Look at that. This is our flagship, the Arch Mechanicus. The detail is awesome. I sadly I didn't get into the hobby soon enough to play the Gothic Battlefleet, the actual tabletop. But look how cool they look. Just bristling with guns. And very different, like they look, from afar they look similar to the Imperial, but they are quite different. Now these guys have torpedoes, which will help a bit later, but we're gonna use them to steal some points. We're gonna roll up in here, try and take this and shoot. We'll probably end up shooting well before we get here. If I'm looking at the battlefield, I kind of want fairly clear lines of fire for us, so we actually might be better off. How close is this? Is kind of midpoint for both of us. Yeah, we'll use our 2 small escort ships here and here to take this, and we'll call them Group 2 as we always do, our sort of quick escorts. And then we're going to roll up on this like that. Now, really important to start with, we're going to be frontal engagement. We want to stay in that 9,000, so we're going to be in that 9,000, right? I mean, we can be that for now, but as soon as we start running through our Nova cannons and we need to shift, then we're going to shift to 9,000 when we're moving into our macros, and we're going to be scrolling around them. At the moment we're frontal. As soon as we've blown through that or we need to start moving, we'll move to side attacks at 9,000, so that's really important. Now I better remember to do it, eh? We're going to set this to Group 1. And we're ready to rock and roll.
With matchless efficiency.
With matchless efficiency. We're gonna go over to
spirit appeased.
These guys. Pop them over there. Back to these guys. By the way, just something quick. You can race around the map doing this, right? But it's actually pretty slow. You're better off, if you see me doing, if I just double click 1, I've got them. Double click 2, automatically takes me to them. So that's usually the quickest way that I have found so far, just to get around. As I said, this game seems to move a lot quicker. We're going to use all the targets of shields, while moving destination, they open fire. Bomber squadron, we're going to use interceptor squadrons on these guys.
Interceptors engaging.
And we're going to have them intercept these guys, because I'm going to take, you know, I can't be bothered with it, obviously, so we'll just get rid of that. Nova cannons, we can see the range there. Pretty straightforward. Our guys are starting to take this point. Looks like we've got 2 over here of something. Whatever this is, they are absolutely throwing a heap. Oh, look at this. Look at all those fighters. There's a lot of carriers, whatever we're playing against.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Okay, so we're going to go...
Transition begun.
Like so. And you guys,
your order.
I'm going to come out here.
Calculating vectors.
Keep an eye on these guys so we can see what's going on.
Machine spirit appeased.
We're going to go with bomber squadrons.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Starhawks engaging.
So that's our stasis bomb and our rad. We'll throw one of these up. This should...
Hostile signature detected.
Alright, we got Tau. And these guys are going to love sitting at range with us.
Hostile signature detected. Starhawks engaging. Receiving your order. State your order.
Let's stop here.
Reroute power to retro propulsion. Focusing war site. Does not compute. We are ready to serve. State your order.
Cool. Guys here should be firing.
Our vessel screams. Escort ship at malfunction. Optimal course set. Receiving your order.
Okay, we're going to hit out
Starhawks engaging.
Starhawks on there. Our guys need to get moving.
Reaching nominal speed.
Going to try and capture
Machine
us.
spirit appeased.
Okay, they'll get a couple. That's all right.
Receiving your order.
Here's our other main one there.
Engaging drive.
We're going to turn over here. Speed up
Engage
over there.
ensign red lines.
That range, man. And arc. Range and arc.
To serve the Omnisire.
That's okay. I'm going to turn now.
You have seized a strategic area.
We've taken very little damage. We've lost our 2 escorts, but that's okay.
Machine spirit appeased.
Gonna go fighters.
Interceptors engaging.
Clear out those guys.
State your order. Engaging drive.
Oh shit.
We are ready to serve. Calculating vectors.
Haven't quite worked out all the
Optimal course set. Receiving your order.
crap yet, unfortunately.
To serve the Omnisire.
Alright, so we've got the 2 points. We've got these. There's definitely one heading here.
Interceptors engaging.
This will give us some idea of what's going on there.
We are ready to serve. Thruster routines active.
Okay.
The enemy has accumulated 25% of strategic points.
Hostile
And that's how
signature
effective it can be,
detected.
which is fantastic.
State your order.
Okay, we're going to close to 9,000.
Machine spirit appeased. serve the Omnissiah.
The enemy is seizing one of your strategic areas.
State your order.
Okay.
We are ready to serve.
Cool, we want to move closer.
Rouse the engines.
Going to lock on.
Receiving your order.
Just stay locked onto this target.
Machine spirit appeased.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Not yet.
To serve the Omnissiah.
Closing to 9. Moving straight in.
We are ready to serve.
Here we go.
Starhawks engaging. The spirits obey.
Okay, so we made them disengage, and that's where we come. But as you can see, I didn't get a chance to use. I used the Rad once, which is your time tick. I didn't, and we got to use a stasis earlier on, which was cool. When you combine all three of those with a lot of your Nova cannons, you can put down a lot of damage, as you saw. Like we took out one of their capitals there very, very quickly. So I hope that gives you a bit of an idea of what the Mechanicus are capable of. And by no means am I an amazing player. There's certainly other better players out there that can use them more effectively and be more cheeky than I was with it. But that just gives you an idea of one of the ways you can play them most effectively, I believe. I hope you've enjoyed that with the Mechanicus, and it gave you a little bit of something. If you have any questions, please pop them down in the comments below. I will endeavor to answer whatever I can about them. But that's the general sort of playstyle. Long range, bombing, that sort of stuff, yeah? Okay, as always, we'll do 2 today. So we got Chaos now. Now Chaos are a little bit different. I'll read them first and we'll get into it. Like their masters, the ships of the Chaos Fleet were once loyal to the Emperor of mankind, but the corrupting influence of the Dark Gods has warped them into something fouler and more dangerous. Now imbued with hellish energy, they come to take revenge on an Imperium they once served. The Chaos Fleet offers a wide variety of ships spread across a great range of tonnage, allowing it to muster a force suitable for any engagement. Its vessels favor swiftness and long-range engagement. So these guys are really long-range bombers. Bit different in the Mechanicus in that they sort of more specialize in macros and lance turrets and plasma turrets. They're more of a circling and shooting kind of enemy, I would suppose, is probably the best way to put it. Whereas they're sort of front on, they're just dropping bombs in your path, you know, all over the place. They're sort of trapping you and throwing down those time traps. These guys are just sort of constant firepower, just hitting you over and over again. That's my take on them. I'm going to play the Night Lords today because I just love them. The Night Lords always excel in sowing terror, and so much so that they invited sanction from the Emperor himself in the days leading to the Horus Heresy. Now a renegade and leaderless faction, their excesses have only grown. Just such cool lore behind these guys. I like Nurgle, I like the Death Guard too, but let's go with Night Lords. Now, these guys, as I said, they're more of a ranged bombarding, I feel, sort of faction. And so what I'm going to do is we'll go supercharge Void Shields. Makes the ship shields invulnerable except for disruption bombs and multiple shield regenerations by 10. So it's really, really good. We're going to go with possibly, yeah, we'll go with an Auger Probe, and I'll show you sort of how I tend to use these things a little bit, and we'll read that real quickly. Launches a probe to the designated location. The probe moves in a straight line and detects enemy ships within a 4,500 unit radius. Once it has reached its destination, it is deployed after 10 seconds. The deployed probe detects enemy ships within 9,000 unit radius. That's pretty good. If it collides with an enemy ship, it sticks to it and automatically deploys itself. Once activated, it lasts for 120 seconds. It's a good thing to put around points. You can whack it into areas you know your enemy is going to be. If you can hit it on the capital ship, you're going to know exactly where his fleet is at all times. He or she, take your pick. Now, things that sort of I want to benefit here, they're not. So when performing a boarding action, the critical assault chance is increased by 20%. Again, this is more of a ranged fleet, ranged fleet, realistically. These guys are your ranged, close quarters, shipboarding, maneuvering, a lot of maneuvering, sort of hit and run tactics, stealth hit and run tactics. Close quarters with pretty heavy firepower. Really want to get in close and board. Medium to close quarters with these guys, and really looking at maneuverability of sort of zapping behind people. I would definitely say close quarters for these guys, and ramming, definitely these two, and this one here. All right. So anyway, moving right along. Let's stay with what we're doing. Night Lords. We got the probes. We're gonna go. The significant range of the ship is increased by 4,000 units. That's the escort one. Demonic infestation applies to all ships. When the ship is destroyed, all enemy ships in its identification range suffers 1 to 2 troop damage that can deal at critical assault damage. Yeah, if your ships are dying, I don't know if you really want to do that. Applies to the flagship only. Applies to ships with macro weapons. Beyond the medium range of 9,000 units, macro weapons accuracy decreases only half as much. This applies to ships with macro weapons. So this one could be good for them as they are ranged. So we'll take that on. Warp powered. When the ship's shield is fully replenished, all enemy vessels within the 2,000 to 5,000 unit radius suffer 50 morale loss. 2,000 to 250,000 is extremely close. That's very close. It applies to all ships, but that is extremely close, right? So you're probably taking damage. I don't know how useful that is at this point. It could be very useful. Let me know in the comments below if you think it is really useful. I'm worried about how effective it is, and you don't want to be that close when you chaos most of the time. You really want to try to avoid being that close and just bombarding them with macros from distance. The ship can use maneuvers while in running silent stance without being revealed. So that applies to all fleet ships. This one for ranged is really good. If you can just sit and shoot at ranged and be fairly silent, then that's not too bad, right? Running silent, and then you're sort of halving that macro drop off. That's pretty damn good. So let's go into 1v1. Let's have a look at the ships we can play with. We'll play with them as we always do. So in this one here, let's have a look at our big boys here. This is our biggest boy we can get here. This is the Despoiler, who you saw in the trailer that lead up in episode 1. Let's have a look what the Despoiler has on offer. So the Despoiler has a double barrel lance turret. So this is a front mounted lance turret. 270 on the front angle of fire. So it's got a pretty wide range. You know, like 270 degrees is pretty damn good. So it'll hit most of the sides as well. So pretty nice. We've got launch bays for fighters. Again, staying at maximum range and just throwing those fighters into the mix. Macro battery weapons. Again, good. If we have a look at this one, we've got those macros at 9,000 units are at 60%. However, the drop off is only half, right? So it's actually 80%. So what it basically does is the 9,000 that's at 60% is now 80%, and then the long range at 13.5, instead of being 40% and losing 60%, you're only losing, I mean, according to that, you're only losing 30%, right? Because you half the drop, right? So that, I mean, if I'm doing my math correctly, I could be wrong, so please do write me in the comments below. But what that means is that you can now sit way out about 13.5 and get, you know, sort of 60. You can get medium range accuracy way out of range, which is really good, long range. So that means I could sit about 13.5 pretty comfortably. Hell, I could even sit out at very long at 18 and take pot shots pretty happily. Quad barrel super heavy lance. Now this is a front only, really strong if you're heading straight into them. Super heavy lance. So this is a front on weapon. And then we've got another launcher. So this thing is a carrier and a half. Low maneuverability, obviously very slow. Brutal strike. This thing, if it does get close, is going to absolutely mash you with strikes. Average troop efficiency though here, not as good as troop efficiency as say Chaos, like the Space Marines. Dedicated, the ships isn't submitted to any basic bravery test. That's pretty cool. And then you've got a plasma reactor. So we're going to have a look at the second one here. You've got all the same stuff here. The only difference is for 100 less, you're losing basically. You've got the triple barrel super heavy missile turret. This is a 270 front. There's 270 degrees around the ship from the front. It has a range of 18,000. That's pretty hardcore, to be fair. Like that's triple barrel super heavy missile turret. Double barrel heavy lance battery. These are on the side and 90 by 90. 270 is going to get most of that, and 18,000 range, 18,000 range, and then you got torpedoes. These things are just going to shoot a lot. So tell you what we'll do, we'll get one of these and one of these, right? So we'll have both, and we'll plow it down from mass range with these two guys. Let's keep going though. Let's have a look what we've got here. And we'll start down the bottom here. We've got double barrel light lance battery weapon and double barrel lance battery weapon, right? So that's a lot of lances coming out. Range there is 13.5, okay? So that's their max range. But we can sit at 13.5 quite happily. And this one's got, okay, so we got launch bays in this one. Merge macro battery weapon, so 9,000. These guys here are going to be happy with their weapons sitting at 18, or at max range 18. Max range 18. We're going to sit on about 13. Going to get some really good accuracy out of that. We're going to be launching ships the whole time. 13.5, these guys are going to be fine. Accuracy drop off is going to be absolutely fine. 13.5, 40, we're going to still sit at 60. So we kind of want stuff that can sit kind of at that range. Right. So this one's probably okay. Could be able to do it. Yeah, that one can do it. Torpedoes in the front. We're not going to be front on too often. Double barrel lance. This is from the front, but it does hit to the sides. So too much frontal for that one, I reckon. Those are sides. And so either go for the bombardment here or go for throwing out some more ships. We'll get one of these and one of these. Okay. Triple barrel heavy missiles. Right, this is front 270. You got a double barrel lance turret. Double barrel heavy lance. These are sides. 270 front. 270 front. Now 270, you like, that's most of the way around, so you're still going to get most of the sides. So I think it'll be at the very rear, you're not going to be able to shoot. And then 270 front. What we might actually do is take this one away, keep this guy, and we'll look at this guy, triple barrel. 80, 18, 18, 18, squadron launches, 18. Better than our last one there. Yeah, that's the sticks. Executors, just going to put out some firepower. Again, I want to be hitting them from range as much as I can. So I'm thinking what I'll do is we'll get one sticks. And we'll get an Acheron. Okay, we've got 52 here. So you can just see these things are bristling with firepower. got? We've got points. We've got... Don't have quite enough for that. Can do a Hellbringer, which leaves us... We got 18 points. We're not gonna be able to get any of this, so that's fine. We'll just leave it there. We'll call it Belts Curse. Save it there. And we'll pick that fleet. So again, we've used, and this is how you got to be careful with your setup, applies to macro weapons. So if we go back in and have a look, we need to make sure that we've picked enough macro weapons, right? So macro batteries, they're going to get that increase. The Lance isn't going to get that increase, so you got to be careful of that. Lance isn't going to get that increase. Lance isn't going to get that increase. Super heavy missile turret, not going to get it. Lance, not going to get it. So double Lance battery, not going to get it. So as you can see here, macro turret's going to get it. We're not going to get the maximum of that. We're going to get a little bit of benefit from every ship, but not all of them. We'll go with it anyway, because we will get some benefit out of it, and it does play to our benefit somewhat. But could you have better maximized that with more macro heavy ships? Probably could have. But I wanted to play a little bit. I like having access to a little bit of fighter screening and that sort of stuff. We're going to go random, and we're going to go medium as always, and we're going to launch. Yeah, I like having gunboats and being able to launch fighter squadrons. You'd be surprised, you don't notice it, but if you get too many of them sort of hit you, they can really do some damage. The other thing is we're staying at range, so constantly harassing them with bomber squadrons and being able to take out anything they launch at us to find out where we are is going to be super useful. Now we're going to keep our group together because it's not very big. We've gone a fair amount of heavy here. There is one up here, but we're probably better off hitting this and then circling, shooting the whole time, because he's going to come down here and go this way. So we can go here this way and then circle around him potentially as well. So we've only got the one unit this time. I want to keep my firepower together and my team together. And we're going to ready up. I'm going to go here like this.
Setting course.
So we can use our maneuvers because of our skill without being detected. So we're going to do that right now. So normally you do that, bang, you're detected. Everyone can see what you're doing, yeah? But because I've got that ability, I can sort of sneak around a little bit.
Cruising speed set.
All right, so here we're going to use our Dreadclaw Squadron. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to use our bombers.
Doomfire's unleashed. Show us our victims.
You have seized a strategic area.
And we're going to spread up a little bit. Look at that. Spread a little bit everywhere. It's got some incoming to me. We're going to go right here because that's where the battle's going to be. We're going to deploy our probe there. Because they're going to hit here and here.
Your orders.
The probe will open up here. We've sent some squadrons over here to find out what's going on here, and we'll go and shoot his bum over there.
For the War Master.
Okay. As soon as we're lined up properly, I'm going to hit the...
Set engines to full ahead.
We're going to move.
Moving to those coordinates.
The enemy has seized a strategic
Shouldn't
area.
have been identified. Why were we identified? Interesting. Maybe I read something wrong. Been identified because we've got... No, it's ours.
Cruising speed set. Enemy ship sighted.
Okay, we're side mounted. We're going to go to about 9. Should give us our max.
We stand ready. Doomfire's unleashed.
So we've got...
Reporting. Enemy ship sighted.
going off. He's going to go down very, very quickly. See the firepower going berserk now.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Cool.
Our minions rampage through their ship. We stand ready.
Gonna keep moving here.
For the ruinous powers.
We're gonna want to do reload.
Reloading ordnance.
Keep that going as much as we can.
Doomfire's unleashed.
Send our Doomfires over there. Supercharge our shields.
Engines hot. As the War Master wills.
We're side on here. Look at the firepower. Pretty good, huh? Now we're alright for morale.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Guy's losing a little bit, that's okay.
Show us our victims.
I'm gonna keep sort of circling.
We are unstoppable.
Which our second auger probe there.
For the War Master. Dead claws away.
Gonna board him.
You have
with the dead claws.
accumulated 25% of strategic points.
Reporting.
Alright, he's got a mutiny on board, that's cool.
Show us our victims.
We'll let our guys catch up a little bit.
Hold your fire. We'll follow your command for now.
Okay, we're locking
Your
on.
orders.
The enemy is seizing one of your strategic areas.
Your orders. We stand ready.
Where are we?
Unleash the fury of the dark gods.
Accidentally pressed hold to fire. It's a button you don't often
Your
use.
orders.
Oh, clipped him.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
As the War Master wills.
Okay.
Enemy ship sighted.
Actually going to turn here instead, and we're going to go down this way.
We are unstoppable. For the War Master.
The enemy has accumulated 25% of strategic points.
Can you turn in
Enemy
time
ship
is the
sighted.
question. Without hitting this thing. Looks like he's going to make it.
Enemy ship sighted. Dead claws away.
The enemy is seizing one
Drifting
of your
hold, we're good.
strategic areas.
We're just going to go right through this guy. Let's go. Cool.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
That should not have done that much damage. The ship
Reporting.
exploding did way too much damage. Hit up the
For the War Master.
rejuvenate the shields.
Show us our victims.
Let's get a probe going down here. I'm gonna throw that couple
Reporting.
of
Enemy ship sighted.
Pretty much left of him in a second.
Enemy ship sighted.
Launch the drag claws there.
We stand ready. Enemy ship sighted.
Going around, we want to stay out of this asteroid field.
Your orders. Cruising speed set.
Okay, here we go.
Your orders. Reporting. For the War Master. Brace. We stand ready. We stand ready. Show us our victims.
Okay, here we're going
To the slaughter.
You have accumulated 50% of strategic points. The enemy has
Cool.
accumulated 50% of strategic points.
Cool.
I cannot, master. Our minions rampage through their ship.
Yep. Certainly do. Gonna lock
Blocking
on.
weapons. Reporting.
You can just see the damage that we're throwing out here at the moment.
Your orders. Warp strike successful, master.
We just stopped his disengage by doing a warp strike
Show
in.
us our
Because
victims.
his shields aren't full, so it got through, or has a higher chance of getting through. We immediately stopped it, so now we'll explode the ship.
Show us
And there
our
we are.
victims.
So you can see how, like, mass firepower, understanding range limits and where you're best is going to give you the most effect. Like, it wasn't a bad strategy. You're actually using little ships to sort of get in there and try to explode them into my ships, which would do damage. So sometimes little escort vessels can be really useful for that. You saw how much damage my shields and my ships took from that one escort vessel dying. It's a little bit unbalanced at the moment. A little escort ship like that should basically just, like, flash against the shields, really, and not really do a lot. But there you have it. So that was the Night Lords playing against the Tau Merchant Fleet. That one was. So not a bad little battle, and you got to see them in action there. Now, I haven't opened up all the last ones of this particular Chaos faction, and some of them actually have more, as you can see. But that gives you an idea of the sort of firepower. I mean, they're just bristling with guns, these guys, and they're really, really good at sort of just circling and shooting, used to good effect and kept away from the enemy for the most part. You can do a lot of really good damage with them. Had we moved into somebody like the Imperial Navy then, instead of the Tau fleet, as we came in to close combat and started boarding them, that probably would have been a very different fight, because they would have just charged us, rather than the Tau don't like doing it because they're not really made for it. They can do it, but these guys would have charged and we would have taken some damage. So just something to think about there. All right, that's it for this episode. I hope you've really enjoyed learning about the Mechanicus and the Chaos factions. If you have any questions, as always, pop it in the comments below. And as always, guys, if you've enjoyed it and you've got this far through the video and you're enjoying it, going, wow, this is cool, then please do leave a like down the bottom. Costs you nothing, takes you about a second. Just click the little thumbs up. It really, really helps the channel out a lot, because we're a very small channel and that's how we get sort of known and grow. If you have really enjoyed it and you like everything to do with Warhammer, and whether it be 40k or fantasy, if you're a big strategy fan and you like turn-based and RTS and anything like that, if it's strategy game, which is mostly Warhammer, and if it's Warhammer, we're going to be playing it on the channel. So yeah, hit up the subscribe then if you want that sort of stuff and you want to see more. If you're watching on BitChute, it's up above on the right there. If you're watching on YouTube, it's below on the right there. Click it up and then you'll get access to everything all the time when it comes out. Conversely, you can also follow what I'm following on Instagram. I tend to follow all the Warhammer lore and strategy lore, also into some of the old Roman stuff. There's some really good people on Instagram that put up some really cool pictures of good art and everything. So if you want to see what I'm liking on there or just to say hello, then follow me. You can follow me on Instagram. If you want to just say hello or see what sort of stuff I'm following and who I'm talking to and that, on Twitter, or just see when we're going to put out an episode, because I always put it up there when the episodes go up. You can follow us on Twitter, all at Dog Shadow Gaming. But yeah, we're also on Facebook and Minds as well, so you can follow us there. And now also streaming on our new Twitch channel, so it's twitch.tv/dogshadowgaming. So everything's Dog Shadow Gaming. All right, enough shilling. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you taking the time to look at what I've done here, and I hope you've learned something today. Please do leave comments in the comments below if you've got anything you want to tell me. And you have a great day, and the Emperor protects. See you guys. Bye.